Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by 3Chi and Barstool Sports, and another Loki recap edition of My Mom's Basement. It's season 2, episode 3, and Gia is back in the basement. She had to go fight with the Phillies a couple days ago, but now she's fighting with us in the TVA back in the basement.
Yep.
Gia, welcome
Yep.
back. Clem, of course, with us as always.
The Phillies were coming off a loss last night. Gia, how we feeling? 1 to 10? Oh, actually, no. Ball scale 1 to 5. How are we feeling right now for the NLCS?
Feeling good, honestly. I feel like we weren't going to sweep them, so I'm fine to get this loss off the board, and then we'll come back tonight, and I feel like we're going to get a win. We played terrible last night, and we still almost beat them, so I think we're okay.
So 1 to 5, how do you feel?
Oh,
5
1 to
being
5.
like no stress.
I feel like there's always stress when it comes to Philadelphia sports, so I'm going to say like a 3.5.
All right, fair enough.
Fair.
Also, we got some people asking us if we did an episode last week. We did do an episode last week. The YouTube, I don't want to say the YouTube algorithm fucked us, because I think the algorithm will fuck us if you say the algorithm fucked us. It's like a miss minutes. It's like a living, breathing thing or something. But we did a live episode, and when you do live episodes, they don't put them in the videos. So if you go to our channel and click on videos, it looks like it's not there. You got to click on live. But we did. We tried to do an episode. It's got like maybe like 2/3 the views as the last one, or maybe that's just the Gia bump. Maybe we just need Gia in the basement every week to give us those extra views.
We need the goddamn Phillies to lose in the playoffs. It'll help my mental state, and it'll get the algorithm giving us those Gia views so badly. It's tough when your team isn't hitting 7 home runs in the first inning, and then you guys just get the coast. I am so jealous of Phillies fans. Likable team. Just gritty, and yeah, that's the sports for the day. Well, I'll stop the sports talk there, Robbie. I apologize. I don't want this to mess up the nerdy algorithm either. Too much.
Well, let's talk some nerdy shit. Loki episode 3 came out last night, and it was very good. Like I tweeted, it's hard to stop, or it's hard to not sound like a broken record, but it's just so good every week. It's also hard not to like trash the other Marvel projects when you watch this. And I know you shouldn't like knock projects down to lift this one up, but you watch this and you're like, God damn, the quality's so much higher than everything else. Like everything else. It's almost like a bucket of cold water on my face, because I say every week, like, I'm more positive than most on this phase. Loki is making me more negative than most on this phase, because I'm like, God damn, why can't everything be this good?
Yeah, it's this episode I feel like was my favorite so far, but I feel like I've been saying that I'm going to be saying that the whole season. I just loved everything about how they represented the new KANG variant. Everything about this episode was so much fun. I loved it.
Yeah, last episode we were saying how we were excited to be like, oh yeah, Loki has powers. He can do crazy Loki shit. So when I see in the magic, now it's like, oh yeah, Kang's going to be in this show. It's kind of cool to see Kang, or a version of Kang, whatever kind of variant stuff. And the planning that's going on. You saw that she's like, you have to throw the book in there. So it's just kind of having that nice. However, I came from a different angle on this episode. I am going to forever be mad because I still don't think we're hitting every episode. I'm on the Gen V. I'm on a Gen V grading scale, and Gen V is hitting every week for me, where I'm like, this is a fun ass episode, and it's one that's a standalone, yet it's building. I don't know if I could like just watch this episode of Loki like 2 years from now and be like, oh, that was great. Where I feel like I am kind of broken brain from, it's a different show, different series, different universe altogether. Then I actually did see they had a thing where they listed out all the finales of the Marvel shows so far and how from worst to best in terms of ranked. And I saw the goddamn asshole, forgot his name already, from Secret Invasion. And I'm like, that was so goddamn bad. That fucking asshole is just this superpower. We have Khaleesi's just running around with every superpower ever, spoiler alert. And that's just the thing that exists in Marvel right now. So you know what? That grounded me. Loki was good. Let's get into it. We had some fun. Last night.
We did, and I got hyped up by the writer, actually, Eric Martin. I tweeted, like, I'm so stoked for Loki. He tweeted back, it's a banger. So I was like, oh my God, the writer himself is hyping it up. It better be a banger. And I kind of expected something big. Me and Clem were texting beforehand, like, do we get Kang this week? Do we get a version of Kang this week? We obviously saw the post-credit scene for Quantumania was in this old-timey realm that we saw that this episode's going to be in. So I figured maybe we'll get him. But I thought he would be, once again, like at the end of the episode, almost like with Ahsoka, where I thought we would get like Anakin at the end of one episode and then you'd get him for the full episode in the next one. I didn't expect to get a full episode of Jonathan Majors here. And I know he's got his real life stuff that's still being figured out, but just his performance, if we're just talking about that, oh my God, this guy could act his ass off. He's so good. Like this and He Who Remains being the same person, like they're literally the same person is playing them, but it feels like two completely different people that could somehow be linked. The way I also said, the way they handle this team needs to be involved with everything Kang is involved with going forward. Like they get him. They get it.
Yeah. I totally thought the same thing where, you know, we would just get like a snippet of Kang at the end, but I liked that they had him throughout the episode because I feel like it made you sympathize with him more. Like the not to rush towards the end, but you know, like Sylvie is so dead set on killing him, and there's a part of you, or at least for me, where I was like, oh, like I kind of feel bad for him. Like I know that he's a terrible person and that he's gonna do bad things and like take over the universe, whatever. But when you see him as this like inventor, quirky guy, it kind of makes you feel like you want to protect him a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a fair way to put it. And I was trying to like stop my brain from thinking that. I'm like, wait, this is exactly what he wants you to think.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, is he pulling one over on us at home? So yeah, there's going to be a lot of brain cramps going on as I'm trying to figure out Kang, who is much smarter than me, even in the 1890s, which by the way, I loved the Marvel graphic going up, and we got the little old timey piano. I was playing it in my home with my fingers.
I love that too.
Anytime that they could make the Marvel intro like a little unique like that, I'm all for it. It's almost like the Simpsons sitting on the couch in a different way every week. It's like, oh my God, they changed it up. I love that. So we'll get right into it. We're going to Chicago first in 1868. The episode is called 1893. Which these years are getting confusing. The other day, my brother texted me. He's like, I'm watching 1408 right now. I was like, sick. I love Harrison Ford. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's a John Cusack movie. And I was like, oh, I'm thinking of 1922, the Yellowstone Harrison Ford. We're just doing years now. So my brain is already in a bit of a mishmash when you start giving me all random years. But we see Ravonna. She goes to Chicago and she meets up with that sus-ass clock bitch, Miss Minutes. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh God, here she is. We were on to her from the first episode last season. We were like, there's no way she's too good to be true. Basically she was, and she's told to drop a package off through a window. We don't really know who's through there until they show us it's a TVA guidebook for a young Victor Timely. And this is what we referenced, I think in episode 1, they call it the bootstrap paradox, where I think there's a element of it in Inception too, where it's like, oh, one day someone gets on their doorstep like the instructions to build a time machine. They build the time machine. They're like, this is awesome. And then they realize they have to go back in time and give it to themselves because they were the only ones that could do it. So the time is a flat circle thing. Once again, blows my brain. And then I have to watch a recap video from like our friend Heavy Spoilers afterwards. And I'm like, all right, I think I understand it now.
Yeah.
Just gonna pat ourselves on the back, Robbie. We called that bitch out for being sus the minute we saw her. The minute
we did.
And granted, it was like maybe a little problematic. I think it was she had a southern accent, like a woman's southern accent, and it was kind of like the murder mysteries. It's always the sultry, southern belle that ends up being the killer. But hey, this time it worked out. One for the basement boys and gal.
I also liked her black and white when she's like, oh, let me like fit to the times. And she like turns into like a black and white Steamboat Willie cartoon. It was so great.
That was great.
Yeah, I don't.
Go ahead,
I was
Gia.
just gonna say I don't like her. I didn't like her from the beginning, but she like seeing her and her weird relationship, like that she might have a crush on Timely. That was so
so
uncomfortable.
It's past might, Gia. She has a crush on Timely.
Miss Minutes horny. That's confirmed.
Never in a million years did I think that they would go there, and they did, and I felt so uncomfortable.
Hey, let me give the people a hashtag for this week to tweet us. If you're watching this episode right now, I want you to hit hashtag clock blocked. I think that's a good
Yeah.
hashtag this week. I can't take
like
credit
that.
for it. I saw it somewhere on Reddit or Twitter somewhere.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, that's the hashtag for this week.
That's a
Clock
good
blocked.
one.
Now, OB is mentioned later because of the guidebook that obviously he wrote that's given to a young Victor Timely. And Timely, not to skip ahead, he almost fanboys when he's talking about OB. He's like, oh, yeah, OB, he knows everything, whatever. Or Ouroboros. I'm seeing a lot of theories online now. Could Ouroboros be set up to be the next He Who Remains? Because he's the all-knowing, knows everything about the TVA, is the guy who probably doesn't want that spot, but they say that the best people for the power are the ones that don't want the power. Gia, last week, I don't even really want to say this again, but I said OB was giving me vibes of a certain imaginary friend from Inside Out. I don't even want to say his name because it should come with a trigger warning. But
Bing bong?
Trigger warning, bing bong. Yeah. And I was like, I could see Ouroboros being like, sacrificing himself for everyone else in the temporal loom. Gia, we're gonna lose Clem. You hit that. That's the saddest moment in any Pixar. It's like the saddest thing of all time.
No,
but I was getting those vibes. Now people are giving me theories the complete opposite way. They're saying, no, not bing bong. They're saying Ouroboros could be He Who Remains. He could be the guy at the end of time, which would be insane.
So are you saying like he would take Kang's spot, kind of?
Like someone's got to take that spot. No, I think he's got to take that spot.
Oh,
which people thought maybe Loki or Sylvie could take that spot, like together. I don't think they're probably going to do it because I think Loki's going to go
see that honestly, because I mean, he's been by himself for like ever.
Yeah.
So he's kind of used to it.
Yeah. He wrote the guidebook that like Kang read to become Kang. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some interesting theories out there. Someone also tweeted me and Clem a theory this week that I think I told you this, Gia, that the key lime pie could be what's wiping the minds of everyone at the TVA. That like that's the only thing they're eating. Loki thought it tasted weird and just started eating whipped cream. It looks a little too green for everyone's liking. People in Florida were tweeting like, "No, it should be yellow." Yeah. So I don't know. I like that as an idea. Apparently, at Comic-Con they were giving out chocolates that had missed minutes on them, and they had like key lime filling. So I think there's something to the key lime.
Yeah, I could totally see that. It was weird, like that they go into this room and it's just pie, and then every single shelf is pie. Like it has to mean something.
I'm tracking down a slice of key lime pie this weekend. I couldn't find any last weekend. New York in the middle of October, not the key lime pie hotspot you would think it would be.
No.
So I'm gonna make another effort this weekend to do it.
Speaking of OB, he's back at the temporal loom, which I love that the first episode I was like the temporal loom. Now I'm like, he's back at the temporal loom. You know where it is, back at the Mojo Jojo Casa house, telling everyone they're about to die. This is his signature line at this point. You pull a string on his back. He's like, we're all about to die. More timelines are sprouting now, which I thought was interesting. The timelines that got pruned, some of them are coming back. Could this be a way they could bring in Fantastic Four and X-Men? Where it's like, we pruned this timeline. Now this one came back. Let's look at it. Oh my God, there's mutants on this timeline.
I read something about that on Twitter that people think that this is how they're going to introduce Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
I think they could do that. I also do think that this is somehow going to end on a Deadpool tease. Everyone's talking about Deadpool being TVA related. Maybe Loki and Mobius are going after Deadpool because he killed the Fox timeline and it was a illegal time move or whatever you want to call that. I could see that.
They better, Robbie. They owe us not one, but 2 post-credit scenes. Because let's not forget, going back to that fucking stupid Secret Invasion show, Nick Fury's entire brand was the post-credit scene. Then they didn't have a post-credit scene at the end of his own show. So we are due a Deadpool post-credit scene and another at least 4.5 out of 5 on the ball scale post-credit scene at the end of this season.
Like you couldn't give us for that show, not to go back to Secret Invasion, you couldn't give us 30 seconds from the Marvels. Just that.
Just
like that would have been fun.
They've basically already showed us the entire movie. Just tell us what happens and be like, now you don't have to spend $20 at the movie theater. We just saved you because you spent 6 hours watching this show. That was
someone did point out on the Marvel Reddit the other day. They're like, I'm pretty sure this shot from the trailer is just from the end of the movie. And it's, I don't even want to spoil it for everyone listening to this, but I read why they think that. And I'm pretty sure they just showed a shot from the end of the movie. Like Very bizarre marketing.
If that ends up being true,
he's speechless.
I already don't trust the Feige. Like I am like Feige's on like my watch list now. Like he's like he's like becoming an enemy of the program. I feel like that. That's why I don't think it could happen.
Don't say that. He's not becoming an enemy of the program. No,
this side of the program, this part
but
of the program.
The news report also came out this week that Marvel was stunned when Quantumania got bad reviews, and they thought they had a banger on their hands. Like they were putting all the marketing to that because they thought that it was going to be the best movie they ever released. Like what? That's
crazy to me
because their judgment's just off now.
Yeah, that when I saw that it was like Feige was like really like he like cares a lot about the Rotten Tomatoes like
he loves the Rotten Tomatoes scores. He has the trophies in the office, they said. Also, there's a Marvel book that just dropped about like the whole like start of the MCU. I read like a little bullet point spark notes of it. That was very interesting. So I do want to get the book. There was something that shocked me in it. Apparently, up until Avengers came out, the Marvel Studios office was just rented office space above a Mercedes-Benz dealership. Until Avengers came out. The first event, like, so they're making Iron Man 2 and Captain America and Thor and shit. And Kevin Feige's like dealing with asshole car dealers like down below.
It's like Barstool was becoming this rocket ship media company in a dentist office with Dave and had a squirrel in his walls. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great. I got to check out that book. And I said I have to listen to the audiobook. I don't have the like attention span or even the eyes anymore to even read a book, but I will definitely listen to the shit out of it. That sounds like a really good book, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna become an audiobook guy because I always just put on podcasts when I take my dog for walks. And I'm like, it might be better to just start listening to audiobooks, and then like at the end of a week, I'm like, I listened to a book this week.
Yep, you feel very smart, and then
you
could
just realize like reading books might make you smart.
And you can say that you read the book because you're not going to say I listened to the book. It's a good way to cheat about it. Like, oh, I read a book last month. It was a book.
If I retained it,
the mix, it doesn't matter. It's still
give me a quiz on it.
Yeah,
I'll do a quiz. I'll do a test. I'm open to testing. We go to Chicago now in 1893 at the World's Fair. Now, speaking of our friend Heavy Spoilers, he put in his video an interesting tidbit about this World's Fair. One, I think it was to celebrate the anniversary of Christopher Columbus coming to America in some way. It was like Columbus's World Fair or something. And the Chicago mayor was actually assassinated at this World's Fair, like in real life, which is pretty fucking nuts.
So I looked up some fun facts about 1893 when I saw the title, and I'm telling you, I thought this was the most boring year ever because I didn't get anything good. I saw there was a big crash in the stock exchange. New Zealand.
I'm shocked they had a stock exchange in 1893.
Right? Yeah.
No idea. New Zealand became the first country to grant all women the right to vote, which we're very proud of. We are the pro-feminist side of Barstool. We said the Chicago office is clearly the misogynistic side now.
But they also mentioned that in this episode, right? There's like the women in the background, like protesting for their right to vote in this episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't like put the two together. And but like nowhere did I read mayor of Chicago assassinated at the World's Fair.
At the World's Fair, yeah.
Jesus Christ,
that's like something that would happen in a Batman comic.
I am just so happy. Yeah, it is something that's exactly something that would happen. Like that's when the Joker and the Riddler like team up and they're like, we're gonna do this the right way.
They assassinated him with like a giant boxing glove or something.
I'm so happy I didn't move out to Chicago and put my whole life on the line to go to a place where they just assassinate mayors at World's Fairs. Shout out to the New York office. Another win for us here, boys and girls.
Yeah,
that's right.
I also kept forgetting.
Clock. I thought that was funny. The ghost clock, where they're like, "There's a ghost clock."
Oh yeah,
Chicago.
But I kept forgetting that they were in 1893. So like when Timely was doing his whole presentation and he just like lit a light bulb, I was like,
"Yeah,
okay."
I was also expecting something mind blowing. Yeah, I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
this
me
guy."
too. And
they kind of reveal like he's kind of a con artist. Yeah, he's like, he does get it because he has the book, so he can like put things together, but it's not like he
he
made like
doesn't
this
have the-
beautiful, crazy invention yet. He doesn't really understand what he's making.
So I have
Yeah, all
to
he
ask
did
a
was
question
just
to
set
the
up a lot of electric or lightning bolts
Yeah.
everywhere, and I was like, "Is this supposed to be cool?" But then I remembered
Yeah.
it's 1893, so for them, this is like the greatest thing that's ever been
I thought
made.
the room was gonna light up with like fluorescent light bulbs, and everyone is gonna be like, "Whoa!" But no.
I thought we were going to time travel a little bit. I was really excited for everything that was about to go down, and it didn't. By the way, question to the panel here: do they do World's Fairs anymore?
You know, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think so because we went to Knoxville for that Pop Punk show, and PFT was rave. He's like, "You got to check out the Golden Sphere or something." I'm probably getting it wrong. But they have this big, like, it looks like a big gold disco ball in the middle of Knoxville, and it was from the World's Fair, and it's like, they love it there. They're like, that's the fucking World's Fair thing. So I don't know, but the World's Fair seems like a cool, like, inventors on the cutting edge. Like, that seems awesome.
It sounds awesome. It's a great name, World's Fair. You have everyone involved. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the Olympics, but for nerds and like
Yeah.
technology, which is still cool shit. And I kind of love
It's-
it. By the way, the Knoxville World's Fair, I'm pretty sure it's a Simpsons episode where Bart and Milhouse get a license and they drive out there with Nelson and I believe Martin. And they're like, "Oh, we're going to go to the World's Fair." And then they get there and it's from like 40 years earlier. So everything is just old and decrepit. I didn't realize Knoxville still loves the shit out of their World's Fair, though. And New York City had a big one that I think Howard Stark is a big part of. Like, that's where he starts, he starts showing some of his shit off there.
You're right.
I just Googled it, and it says they changed it now. They're called World Expos. And the most recent World Expo took place in Dubai. So they're more they take place globally rather than just in the United States.
Which makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Starting in
World's Fair.
April 2025, Osaka, Japan will host the next World Expo.
That'll be sick. The Japanese, if you look at their like billboards, they're so far ahead of America, it's insane.
Yeah.
Why don't we can we take the name World's Fair and like just sponsor by Barstool and just invite people to do like I feel like there's still
like Billy Football doing science experiments and stuff.
There's still juice to be squeezed in the World's Fair name. Like if I told you right now there's a World's Fair coming to Manhattan in 2026. Are you like, "Oh fuck, man, there's going to be
the Javits Center?"
Shit.
Yeah, I'm there.
The Javits Center. Exactly. I tell you World's Expo, you're like, marketing, like your eyes glaze over a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm out on that. You're getting brochures at the expo. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, one panelist on My Mom's Basement this week went to Comic-Con this year at the Javits Center. Wasn't me at Clem. It was Gia.
I did
First
my due
Comic-Con ever.
diligence. First Comic-Con ever. It was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was really I had certain expectations and I feel like they definitely did meet them. You know, I knew everyone was going to be dressed up. I knew it was going to be a big crowd, but it was so cool because I didn't realize that people sell like their own art and their own toys and whatever and their own comics and all that stuff. So it was certainly very cool. I don't think I did it right at all. Me and Bob from Lights Camera Barstool, we just kind of bopped around and got some food and looked at all the vendors and stuff. We went to like the autograph section and we saw David Tennant. I think he's
from Doctor Who.
From Doctor Who.
And he's also Hu Yang in Ahsoka, the droid, voice of the droid.
Yes. And he's Barty Crouch Jr. in Harry Potter.
That's right. He is in Harry Potter, yeah.
Yeah. And the bad guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, the newest one, he was there too. And it was super fun.
High Evolutionary?
Yes.
Nice.
Catherine Langford from Quantumania. So there was a bunch of Marvel people there, and it was super cool, but it was overwhelming as hell. Yeah. I mean, there was so many people there, and these people are so dressed up. It's crazy, and it's like they're like the Beyonce of Comic-Con. Everyone's stopping them for pictures, and they have bodyguards, and it was crazy, but it was super, super fun. I would definitely go again next year. I just think I need a bit more I need a map and maybe someone who's more experienced.
Although, you know what? I've gone a couple years, and the experience you just described is pretty much my experience every year. You go, you look at vendors, you walk around, you get some food at the cafeteria, you buy some stuff. Did you buy anything?
Oh, I bought so much. I think I spent way too much money, but I got an Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, so this is the Comic-Con experience you're describing, yeah.
Yeah. And I got a Pikachu Squishmallow. I got an Appa from Avatar Last Airbender, like little
I
toy.
saw that. Yeah.
Yep. And Sailor Moon t-shirt.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there one costume too that was like the costume of the year? I remember a couple years ago, me and Clem went and everyone was fucking Morty, or they were Rick from Rick and Morty.
Okay. There
Was there
was a
one thing that
lot,
was like overwhelming?
like not really, honestly. The ones that I remember was there was a lot of Marvel, obviously, a lot of Lokis,
Okay.
and I didn't recognize this person, but Bob knew them from the comics. Chainsaw Man,
Oh, Chainsaw Man. It's a big anime. Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of Chainsaw Men running
Just a
amok.
chainsaw as your head.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're scary. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god,
Blood
these
all
people.
over him. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the two that I noticed the most: Loki's and Chainsaw Man.
I went with you once, Bob, I think, and I just wish it was easier to shoot videos at. It's just a little too chaotic and crowded.
Yeah.
And then if you're someone that has a good outfit, you can get like kind of a video or a little interview with them, but then they just get hoarded. And then, I mean, Miss Minute, you're talking horny. The people that are going after, like, you know, any girl dressed up in any kind of outfit, it gets kind of awkward. And I'm just like, I just don't feel right around here. So Man on the Street, not as easy as you would think at the New York Comic-Con. I don't know what the San Diego one, but the New York one's kind of...
San Diego's probably worse, to be honest. I've never been to San Diego, but in terms of foot traffic, yeah, I assume it's even crazier.
Yeah, I wanted to do some sort of video, but I got too like nervous. There was just so many people.
You got a good video of just Bob from Lights Camera Barstool hugging a big like anime. I didn't even know what it was, and then I showed it to the Pup Punk group. Like I was like, guys, you got to see Gooch hug this like anime thing. And Caroline goes, "Oh my god, I used to work for that company." And I was like, "What?"
That's wild, man.
Yeah, I don't know what those things were, but I was kind of jealous after. I was like, damn, I kind of want to give it a hug. It seemed very peaceful.
He had the biggest smile on his face I've ever seen afterwards. It was the most wholesome video I've ever seen. There's a really funny, going back to Loki, a really funny back and forth when they see like Odin, Thor, and Balder the Brave. And it's like three like wood carvings essentially of these old Norse gods. And Loki's like, that doesn't even look like them. That's ridiculous. This is a gross generalization. And Balder, nobody even knows Balder. And Mobius is like, oh, I know Balder, Balder the Brave. Everyone knows him, right? This was great. And we actually we didn't break Balder the Brave news, but we tried to break some news on the podcast months ago when Multiverse of Madness came out. It was revealed by us that Daniel Craig had auditioned, or not auditioned, but been cast as a role in the movie. We thought it was Mr. Fantastic, and due to scheduling, he had to drop out or something like that. So we said Daniel Craig was going to be Mr. Fantastic. Then our guy Heavy Spoilers came out and broke the news. That wasn't true at all. Daniel Craig was going to be Balder the Brave. And when that fell through, they cast John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic in his place. So there could be a Balder the Brave in the MCU on the horizon. They tried to bring him in already. If they cast Daniel Craig, that would be a hell of a like A-list actor to cast in that role to like star opposite Hemsworth. I don't know if you're going there though, because they also just showed us Roy Kent as Hercules. So I don't know what the next Thor thing is going to be, which honestly, both good choices.
Half brother and close friend to Thor. That's Balder the Brave. Good name too. Good name.
Balder, like
kind of looks like me in this.
Yeah,
picture. I don't know how Daniel Craig. This picture of Balder the Brave looks like me that I'm looking at here. So I don't know how me and Daniel Craig are going for the same role, but hey, I'm a fan just because of that alone.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him.
He wears like purple and yellow, right? Am I thinking of the right thing, Clem?
Yes. Yep.
Purple and yellow. Yeah.
Handsome. Very handsome guy.
Yeah, looks just like you. We meet Victor Timely now. We do get the scene from Quantumania. When we saw this as a post-credit scene in Quantumania, it was like the best part of that movie, first of all. And in the theater, me and Clem were in the IMAX Lincoln Square, like the best IMAX in the city. This felt so huge and cinematic when they turned to him and he's like, I thought you said this guy was terrifying. And he's like, he is. That I didn't even know if this was going to be a scene from Loki or if they filmed it like for the movie. It felt like movie big. And it felt that way when I watched it here, even though Victor Timely was like a goofball and kind of like, you know, tripping his way through the stage and through his presentation. He doesn't really understand what he's doing, like we said before. But afterwards, a bunch of guys are trying to buy it from him. They're like throwing money at him. Some of them don't believe him. Some of them are trying to auction off things. One of them mentions this could be like, I'll go in with a partnership. And he states, I don't do partnerships. Huge part of this episode, huge part of Kang's story and Victor Timely's story. He has to run away from these guys eventually. And I liked the scene where he runs onto the Ferris wheel cart and then like crawls out of it and traps them on it. Just a great, like, very 1860s silent filmy where you could picture that happening in like a Charlie Chaplin movie or something, or Buster Keaton. And the whole look of the Ferris wheel, biggest Ferris wheel I've ever seen. I don't know if they actually made one that big for the World's Fair, but it was great.
I'm gonna have to look it up, Bob. 1893 Ferris wheel. See what kind of Ferris wheel we were.
Because like the carts they had, it looked like you could fit like a full room on each one. Which
Yeah,
I'm
they were
sure they have
huge.
those now, but in 1893, before 1900, they had those. Are you guys Ferris wheel people?
No.
No, I like a Ferris wheel.
Well, you know what changed my mind about Ferris wheels is Spider-Man No Way Home, or Far From Home. Sorry. Far From Home.
When they go on a trip.
When they're in London or wherever they are, and his buddy and
In
the
Europe,
girl are stuck at the top. Yeah. No, that's a nightmare fuel for me. I don't like heights in the first place. So, and I don't like how Ferris wheels, you go one and then you're up and then one and then finally you can go the full way around. I don't like getting stuck at the top. No, I'm not a Ferris wheel person.
I'll go one step further, G. I loathe Ferris wheels. I loathe them.
You loathe them?
Yeah, because it's like rides should be, you get on, you have some consistent fun, you're off. But it's the stop and go. You get a windy day, you kind of like, just does not feel good. And the Ferris wheel tricks you. It's like, oh, Ferris wheel, nice, safe, happy ride. No. It could be a scary ride, a little too scary for my liking, especially like the open air ones. Now, the ones that they were on were pretty cool. It's almost like a gondola, right? It's like a super-sized gondola. That was cool. So, and plus, like, if you go to ones in the city, I know what these kids are doing in Ferris wheels, and it's not a place I want to be sitting.
I'm not going to ones in the city. I'm not doing that. But I went to California a couple of years ago, and we did was it the Venice Boardwalk or something? The Malibu. We did one of the big piers out there.
Santa Monica. I think it's Santa Monica.
Pier.
We did the Santa Monica Pier. We went on the Ferris wheel there. I like a Ferris wheel because I don't like roller coasters, and it's my excuse when it's like, oh, you want to go on a roller coaster? I'm like, no, but we could do the romantic thing and go on a Ferris wheel. You know, it's just my excuse. And then it's like, yeah, you get a cool view of the ocean or something. But like, yeah, and I'm not going on a Ferris wheel in New York City in a parking lot of a TJ Maxx or something.
I'm thinking of He Got Game. I believe there's some tomfoolery being done, and He Got Game on the I believe the Coney Island Ferris wheel. Yeah, no chance I'm going on the Coney Island Ferris wheel. The Chicago Ferris wheel, which there's a Ferris wheel, right? It's what's the name of that little spot they have on the water there? I think it's some sort of a pier. I'm not going on that one either. I feel like there's some. Like, I don't know what these idiots at Barstool are doing on the Ferris wheel on their days off. Like,
oh my God, White Sox Dave on a Ferris wheel? Yeah. No, thank
you. This
back
one
to Loki.
It looked a lot like the London Eye, this Ferris wheel, which is like very high tech, I thought.
I think it is too. Yeah. I would do the London Eye.
The London Eye is great.
There's a great concert from the pandemic where nobody could do concerts, obviously, so people were doing like live stream concerts in unique ways. So Liam Gallagher decided from Oasis he's gonna just go on a sail barge and do a concert sailing down the River Thames. And he gets to the eye and he just says into the microphone, he's like, hello, eye. Nobody gives a fuck about you. I'm not intimidated. And he like keeps going. He like just starts talking shit at this Ferris wheel. It's very funny.
I will say
by
this.
the way, speaking of music, Blink-182's album came out today. Everyone needs to be listening to that because it's fucking awesome. It's amazing. 17 tracks, not one is bad.
Midnight release? Was it one of those midnight releases?
It was. What were you going to say, Clem?
I didn't realize, I just looked it up. The original Ferris wheel, sometimes referred to as the Chicago wheel, was designed and built for the 1893 World Fair. That gives this Ferris wheel that we watched last night a little more panache.
This is the Ferris wheel.
This is the Ferris wheel, and then everything else is based on this Ferris wheel. So I'm kind of like, I'm giving a little respect to this one, and I think if they kept Ferris wheels like that, I don't know if they mixed it up at all, because It wouldn't have made sense if he was on a little 2-man ride, but going on with a bunch of people, I'm tipping my cap. I do not loathe giant Ferris wheels like the one last night.
Also, your initial 1893 research was just trash. That's
trash.
A fun fact.
Absolute trash. I went to like 5 different sites and not one interesting. I'm looking at births, deaths. Nothing interesting happened in 1893, except for everything interesting happened in 1893. Yeah. All in Chicago, no less.
Yeah. Sylvie shows up to kill Victor Timely, and she corners him on another little Ferris wheel thing. Ravonna and Mobius at the same time have a little reunion where he's like, kind of like, what the fuck? Abandon all of us. What happened there? And she's completely almost numb, shut off to it. She's like, nope, I'm doing what I need to do. Like, we're not partners anymore. I don't know why you're concerned with what I'm doing. Sylvie eventually does that blast that they did last week when they held hands, and she was like, don't think about it. They did do the blast. She does the blast, not as strong as last week because she's not holding Loki's hand. And it kind of scatters everyone. So Miss Minutes becomes the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Woman. She becomes super huge and terrorizes everyone as a big ghost. Very fitting for Halloween time. I was like, all right, this is a little Halloween vibe we get out of Miss Minutes. And Timely brings Ravonna back to his place. Now, here's where shit starts going off the rails in this episode, where I was like, what's happening? I said out loud, I was alone in my apartment last night. And I said, is this a fucking love triangle? No way. Because he brings her back. And Miss Minutes shows up. She starts getting jealous right away. And it's like, I think Miss Minutes is trying to get her on. And she absolutely was. They start telling him about the TVA and everything. And he's like the little nerd sitting in between. It's that episode of, G is going to appreciate this. Clem probably won't. It's that episode of Drake and Josh when Drake is sitting between the two goth girls and they're like both trying to talk to him in detention. He's like, I don't know what to do right now.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's a really good comparison. I thought it was interesting when Sylvie came because she was kind of annoying me. Because I was like, oh my gosh, you have to just listen to Loki for 5 seconds. Like, I understood where she was coming from because, you know, sometimes, like, she's so dead set on her mindset of who Kang is and what he can do. So she's like, I'm not going to listen to anyone. So that scene was so frustrating for me. And then, to have this weird, I did not see that coming. Obviously, I knew that Renslayer and Timely maybe would have some sort of connection because she loves he who remains,
Kang, Mortis, the Beyonder.
Yeah. So I feel like
Nathaniel,
she'll just
Richard, everyone. Yeah.
Maybe have a crush on every version of him. But yeah, the whole Miss Minutes thing just made me feel super uncomfortable. She's just annoying as hell. Yeah. And she comes off as like this sweet Southern lady, but she pisses me off.
I think I'm starting to like. I like Miss Minute being completely absurd. I will say that. Like I said, this is nothing I would have seen in a million years. I kind of want her to steer into it too. I don't want to. It's gonna sound weird as I say this, but it would be funny if she was like, "Come on, Kang, you want the little hand job or the big hand job?" Like she kind of like lean into the clock jokes and everything. Here we got clock blocked as the hashtag. Let's just make this a weird ass show and have some fun.
I thought you were gonna want boobs. I thought you were gonna say you wanted her to have boobs. Clock boobs.
I don't want her to do the old Nala eyes, which is the thing. For as much as White Sox Dave takes the heat for it, I think like half of Barstool has tweeted out something about Nala eyes at some point in their life.
Oh yeah, the from Lion King.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that she got like legitimately thrown into horny jail. She got thrown into horny jail.
She did. Yeah. Kang was like, enough. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Speaking of crazy. Tell you what's crazy is how good Factor meals taste. With the busy fall season arriving in swing, you might already be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. And Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel you up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, Victor Timely. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. If you're too busy this fall to cook, but you want to make sure you're still eating well, with Factor, you can skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, the prepping, and the cleaning up too, while you're still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Their fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat them up and enjoy, and then get back to crushing your goals. They have amazing amazing fall recipes, the cranberry pecan chicken, the apple Dijon pork chops, such good stuff. And this October, you can get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle by going to factormeals.com/Robbie50, ROBBIE50. Use that same promo code Robbie50 and you'll get 50% off. It's Robbie50 at factormeals.com/Robbie50 to get 50% off. And like I said, we're talking a lot about time. You could save time with Factor. Trying to save time with Loki, trying to save time with Factor, they double it up.
We can't really talk much about Miss Minutes because then it gets to a very weird place now with Miss Minutes. We've reached. Also, I got to take. Okay, so this is something I like to do, especially we do it on the House of the Dragon podcast. And I was with you, Gia. My notes are just Sylvie's pissing me off. Sylvie's pissing me off again. Sylvie pissed me off last episode. Are you Team Sylvie or anti-Team Sylvie? You have to put your stuff. You have to put your cap on now. You have to ride or die for Sylvie or against Sylvie from here on out. So I want us to be a podcast that is very firmly for or against her. Everyone go your own way. Gia, you're up first. Pro Sylvie, anti Sylvie.
I'm pro Sylvie.
Okay.
No.
I'm also
you explain.
Yeah, I'm also pro Sylvie, but go ahead, Gia.
Yeah, no, I think she's just very headstrong and she doesn't really think before she acts, but like I feel that. Like I find that she's a bit of a relatable character. Obviously, I'm not a fucking variant of the Lord of Mischief or whatever, God of Mischief, but
how do we know, Gia? How do we know?
But I feel like she wants what she thinks is best. Like she's not a bad person. I think all these Lokis, especially like our Loki and her, they're very misunderstood. And I don't know, I just feel like she has the best intentions at heart, but sometimes she's just very headstrong, if that makes sense.
I think that's exactly right, because not only she has the best intentions, those intentions are right. In the end, we need to kill all the fucking Kangs. That is for sure what everyone needs to do. So she is right about that. She's just going in with the Leroy Jenkins method, where it's like we might need to chill and use these Kangs to kill some other Kangs. Like there's a method to all of this. She doesn't want to follow that because she knows in the end you got to kill all of them, and she's just freaked out about that. So in the end, I think Sylvie will for sure. She might even like sacrifice herself because all Lokis are, doomed to be like heartbroken or whatever. I could see her sacrificing herself to like kill the final Kang. I could see her being that important to the story. But I am pro Sylvie. I take it by Clem asking us that question. He might not be pro Sylvie.
No, so this is my thinking. I think it's so obvious to be anti Sylvie that I think I have to be pro Sylvie, because I do think at the end we're going to be like, this whole time she was right, and you guys both raised some very good points. Like our goal, we're losing like the forest despite of the trees, whatever the stupid phrase is. Like the goal should always be kill all the Kangs. They're not good no matter what, even if they're just a bunch of old timey dudes from the 1800s that are fucking con men at the World's Fair. It doesn't matter. Like those guys are no bueno and they're a fucking problem. Then I'm also like, well, we got to save OB, so we got to take him to the TVA. That's a good thing. That feels like it's going to be a bad thing in the end. So it's official. I'm planting the flag for us. My Mom's Basement, officially Team Sylvie, and we're riding or dying with her for now on. Because listen, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. Me and Nick, we ride for what's the name of the guy in House of the Dragon?
You don't even remember.
I don't remember his name. It's been so long. But we were riding and dying. There were some very rough moments for us riding for him, but there's also some good moments for us. Yeah.
So, and if you think about it, like, not to jump too far ahead, but she had the opportunity to kill Timely right there and then, but you can tell that she still has like a heart and a conscience and like feels deeply and like empathizes with people. So she could have just, like Rob said, Leroy Jenkins, and just stabbed him right there. But she like has empathy towards him, which I think makes her like more human, and which makes me like her more.
And also it took Loki years to come around, like with it in the end, this is Loki. So it's going to take us a while to come around to, and maybe a new variant of Loki. But in the end, this might be like all Lokis turn good. I don't know if that's what it is, but this Loki's pretty fucking good.
And the
Mhm.
Loki that we know, the Tom Hiddleston Loki, he's like telling her she's wrong. He just got into this TVA world. She's been in this shit
Yeah.
forever, man. She's been grinding, jumping from timeline to timeline. I think I trust her more than the dude that was just trying to kill the Avengers like an hour ago in their universe, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
we're
true.
riding with Sylvie, and fuck it, you guys have me even more. I think she's my number one character in the show now because Sylvie Jenkins, I just wanted to yell, Sylvie Jenkins, and just start swinging that sword, blasting her powers. So, all right,
I could
we're
see her
riding.
doing it.
We're riding with fucking Sylvie here on out, kids. Get ready. Because I'm
Hell
telling you,
yeah.
there's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, but we're in it together. I love it.
Mhm.
They once again get chased out of this cabin, and Victor says, we got to go to Wisconsin. That's where like my real lab is. So Victor, Ravonna, and the third wheel, Miss Minutes, go on to Wisconsin, and they get on this boat. Once again, Ravonna and KANG getting a little romantic. You're getting
Mhm.
vibes from the conversation they're putting down. But Miss Minutes shows up right in the middle of it, and they start talking to him about how he got the book when he was a kid, the TVA handbook, the guidebook. And Ravonna's like, yeah, I gave it to you. And Miss Minutes is like, you know, I basically gave it to him. Like, you gave it to him like a mailman gives like a letter. And they're really fighting over this guy. And Ravonna, eventually, she's like, I really can see the man that you're going to become. Which I'm like, does she think like every KANG? Did she lose her KANG and now she thinks she's just got to meet a KANG and like almost mold him to become the
Mhm.
KANG that she was in love with? I don't know. But she says, I have high hopes for this partnership. And as soon as she said that, he stopped holding her hand. You could tell like something went off in his mind. He doesn't like that word, that partnership word.
Yeah, so interesting because, you know, he's like, I don't do partnerships, but then what's his deal with Miss Minutes?
Exactly. He basically is like looking with Miss Minutes, like hand around her, like no partnerships, right? The two of
Yeah.
us. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
very strange. He puts her off on a boat and he says goodbye to her just because she mentioned the prospect of a partnership, which this guy, talk about commitment issues. Yikes.
Miss Minute knows not to say the P word around him. We're talking
Yeah.
partnership.
It is.
I
But
love
why
the
is that?
X-rated Mixed Minute. I'm sorry, guys. This
Does he
is
have
so
that
absurd
from
to me.
earlier? Is that like his parents abandoned him as a kid? Does he have that ingrained in his DNA from a prior KANG somehow? Like, why does he not like partnerships? Because prior we heard Ravonna and him on the voicemail or whatever that was when Loki's listening to it. Sounded like they had a fucking partnership.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe when he was young, like something happens, maybe someone stole his idea or something like that, stole an invention or something. But
See that like Edison style?
yeah, I think that's when I kind of started to notice, oh, like even though this guy is this weird, quirky, seemingly innocent person, he's very quick to send a woman on a boat alone by herself, you know? So he still
That
has
shot
a
of him, yeah, on the boat, like watching her drift away. That was the first time where Victor
it was a
Timely
little
looked evil.
menacing. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally. And I was like, okay, you know what? I felt bad for him, but at the end of the day, this guy's still a villain.
Made me feel bad for Ravonna. I don't even like Ravonna.
I know.
And he's interesting where he doesn't kill her, right? Because of
Yeah.
it. So he's not like pure just evil. I'm just going to murder this chick, which would feel very odd in a Marvel show, by the way. But
Yeah.
it is like he's just going to just kind of drift her off. I do think this is also like planting the seed of when all these KANGs get together and they're like, we're going to, you know, join hands and fight this set of KANGs. And then they're all just going to be basically backstabbing each other. I think it's basically just telling us about the KANG character that they're going to just be basically trying to kill each other. And that's how he who remains will be the last one standing. Because like the KANG in their soul is just not meant to partner up with anyone else, even themselves.
That's going to be the name of the first Marvel rock band album, KANG in Their Soul. I like
sick.
That. Miss Minutes at the lab tries to straight up convince Victor Timely like we should date. Like I should be your girlfriend. She puts herself on the mannequin head. She's like, why don't you ever give me a body? She was an AI who played chess. She got feelings. She's what's the name of Plankton's lady?
Karen.
She's Karen. She's Karen from SpongeBob in this moment. She's like, I deserve a body. What's going on here? And he freaks out. He just turns her off. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Click. It's mute.
Yeah, that was
wild.
I felt I didn't feel bad for her, but I just felt so uncomfortable because
so uncomfortable.
She was desperate, and you know, living your life as an AI clock, like no one's ever going to take you seriously. And like, especially now that she has like feelings and thoughts and whatever, so she can love and, you
Yeah.
know, want men, but it's like, you're a clock.
Even you saying that,
Like,
she could
yeah,
love
it's
and want
just
men.
so
We're talking about a
weird. Like,
clock. Like
you got to
it's
look
yeah,
at
it makes
yourself
me
in the
feel weird.
mirror. So when she's like, oh, like you could put me in a human body, I kind of was expecting maybe some sort of a new character to come, and he like gives Miss Spinets like a real body, which I thought would have been interesting.
Still could happen, I guess.
It's still definitely could happen, but yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, this poor woman is desperate. She's desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they did this like halfway through season 1 of Loki, I might have been like, all right, I think I might be out on this show because this is fucking creepy and weird. Even though, like, that's the thing, like, we're living it in the real world, like AI being self-realizing what it is, and like one part of it is it going to murder us all. And the other side of it is like if it wants love and just all the like the basic human necessities. But yeah, if this happened in season 1, I would have been like, I think I'm out on the show. Miss Minute has done enough crazy shit, and she's kind of growing to what I don't think any of us thought she was going to go this direction. So I kind of love that she's going this direction. I just like there is a border that, as much as I love the absurdity of it, just don't cross the line. Like we all know what the line is. Going on that mannequin, the line was then like she was looking at the line when she did that. And I'm like, I don't need to see this right now.
Yeah.
Like how does that work? How does I don't even want to know. Forget I asked the question. Keep moving along, Robbie. I don't want to know.
Yeah, it's one thing when it's like Anna de Armas in Blade Runner when she's like, oh, like you can give me a real body because she's like hot, and you know Ryan Gosling's like,
well,
yes,
I was gonna say, yeah,
good.
Timely needs to like develop the Ex Machina level, like get Alicia Vikander, and then maybe we're talking. But right now, what is he gonna put her on one of those like cloth mannequins?
Yeah,
just carry her around, like no good. You can't be doing that. Tell you what is good. C4 Ultimate Energy. Let me get this stuff for you. I can show it to you.
Blast us off, Robbie. Blast us off with some C4.
Boom.
Here.
C4 Ultimate Energy. Not only the Ultimate Energy, but the WWE collaboration. Unleash your inner WWE superstar. You know, I wanted to be a wrestler growing up. And if C4 was around when I was trying to train to be a wrestler, maybe I would be a wrestler, because WWE and C4 Ultimate Energy have teamed up to provide the ultimate undisputed energy, packing a powerful punch of 300 milligrams of caffeine and delicious WWE-inspired flavors like Ruthless Raspberry and Berry Power Bomb. C4 Ultimate Energy is the preferred choice of supercharged energy for WWE superstars like Seth freaking Rollins. And with 0 sugar and 300 milligrams of caffeine, that'll leave you feeling larger than life. It's time to step into the ring with C4 Ultimate Energy in WWE. Grab the new C4 Ultimate Energy WWE flavors today at GNC online, or find them near you at findc4.com. This stuff is great. It's not only the cans. Check this out. Pre-workout. If you're trying to get a little pump on, well, pre-workout for you. C4 Ultimate Energy. Grab the new C4 WWE flavors today at GNC online, or find them near you at Find C4.
I will apologize to the people that were listening and like got like a little jostle and don't know why their like head moved. It's because Robbie flexed on the YouTube, so that was just his power coming through your headphones and just knocking you around right there.
That's right.
Into the C4.
So when he turns Miss Minutes off, Ravonna reveals herself. She's standing behind them the whole time. She was friggin' paddling her ass off in that little boat.
Yeah, damn.
I can't believe how fast she got there. She literally like met him there, essentially. And she's like, what are you having, girlfriend troubles? And like steps out with a fucking like kind of like a pruning gun. And he's like, whoa, 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 careful. Don't do that. Don't whatever. Loki and Mobius show up at the same time. And then like 2 seconds later, Sylvie shows herself. This guy, he needs Simply Safe or Ring or something back then as well, because everyone got it to his place without him knowing. And now we're in basically the same position we were in at the World's Fair, where Sylvie's like, should I fucking kill this guy? Loki's begging her, no, we need him for the temporal loom. We need his aura. He's the only one who can save the aura, because it's all, you know, about to explode and shit. And eventually, like Gia was saying, Sylvie has a heart. And she, I think, maybe realizes she's showing off maybe TVA tendencies to just like fucking start pruning people left and right. She's like, all right. And she lets them go with Loki and Mobius to the TVA. They go through a time door. And Sylvie takes Miss Minutes and Ravonna to the end of time, where we get a gnarly shot of like the decrepit body of He Who Remains
Mhm.
literally rotting and becoming a skeleton. And they start talking about like secrets, and I know a secret, Miss Minute says, and we get a tease for next episode. I don't necessarily know what that secret could be, but this was a creepy ass way to end the episode. That shot of He Who Remains just like because a skeleton all slumped over, it was fucked up.
Yeah, it was creepy. I have a question. Did Renslayer have like the same intentions as Loki and Mobius? Like, did she want to take him back to the? What was her end goal with Timely? I like can't really remember because it
I
seemed
don't
like
know
they
what
had
her
the
goal
same.
is.
It seemed like they had the same goal because Renslayer like mentioned something about that she needed him to like save the TVA or something like that, but she just doesn't want to work with Mobius and Loki anymore. I don't really.
I feel like
That's
she must have a branched, because the branched timeline, she must have a branched goal in some way where there's a part of her that I think wants to have that He Who Remains spot. The way she's talking about, I've been keeping everything together and timelines, and I know everything, while everyone else was, running around like chickens with their heads cut off. I was the one running shit at the TVA. I think part of her wants that chair. I think we're almost maybe going towards a Game of Thronesy, like who's going to be on the throne at the end,
right.
like who's going to be on that He Who Remains chair at the end.
Right. But it does make sense because, she probably needs Kang to achieve that goal. So I feel like that does make sense. But yeah, I guess I was just confused what her objective is. I don't really
know if she even
understand.
fully knows either, because it seems like when He Who Remains died, they put into place some kind of contingency plan where they're like, all right, hand the fucking TVA guidebook to the young Victor Timely. Like, she might be following orders that she got from Kang even before he died.
Yeah.
So Ravona's kind of like Sylvie, where I don't know if I was 99% sure I didn't like her this entire time. But then I'm like, am I going to like her by the end of this season or the end of this series? And I'm kind of like, there's a chance now. I don't really know.
I know. I feel the same way, Clem. Like something about her this episode made her seem like she's actually not bad. I just feel like she doesn't trust Loki and Mobius, but like, I don't know.
And she's clearly after Kang, and in the comics they're like lovers, right? They
big time lovers, and I think they do have a story. I'm not 100% on this, but I think they have a story where it's like she's in love with every version of him, but I think at some point along the way, every version of that, like it goes wrong, and she maybe dies. So that's like part of the Kang heartbreak, I think, is that like he can find the love, but it never goes right. Maybe that's why he doesn't like partnerships.
That makes sense. And I think that's going to be Kang's like big flaw that we're going to learn over the years here. What do you think the big secret is then? What do you like? Do we have any theories on that?
I don't really know. Like, what if the big secret is that He Who Remains was a fraud? Like, he wasn't He Who Remains. He Who Remains is still alive. That probably isn't going to be it, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
Well, she said the secret's about Ravonna, right? She's like, I know a secret about you.
I know a secret about you. That's right. Yeah.
Is her real name Clarence, and she grew up with parents with a real nice marriage? Like, is she fucking gonna de-rabbit us here? Like, I don't know what to make.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like, I feel like it has to have something to do with Kang. Like, I know a secret about you. Like, you'll never be able to escape your love for him or something.
Trying to get that chair. I know you want to kill Kang.
Do you think maybe she was the one who helped Loki? Remember when Loki needed help?
Oh, I know you pruned Loki.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a future version of Loki, if it was Ravonna behind him.
Ooh.
That's decent. I like that.
I like that.
I'm just trying to think so we could put theories explained Easter eggs somewhere in the title and trying to get the YouTube algorithm on our side here.
Yeah. Ravonna never had her mind wiped. She remembers everything and she's pretending.
Ooh. You never ate your pie, right?
Something like that.
I know you
didn't eat your pie.
Oh, you know what's funny? This just triggered an old memory for me. My older sister loves Lifetime movies, like the worst Lifetime movies, and she just thinks they're like so much fun to watch. I remember the worst one ever growing up was about this like trainer who would like, if her clients weren't like following her strict TB12 level orders, she would kill them. She would just be like, "I'd fucking kill him." And there was a scene, I swear this triggered a crazy memory for me, where the trainer walks past one of her clients eating a key lime pie. He goes, "No key lime pie." And she fucking kills her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody could find that. I don't know if you can actually. I don't know how accessible Lifetime movies are. I don't know if there's the Lifetime channel or something or a streaming service, but there's for sure a movie where that happens. And like me and my sister would quote it for years, like, "No key lime pie."
Yeah. Well, that's the opposite for Renslayer.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
"You didn't eat your key lime pie" with a knife.
Oh, there's key lime pie at the Avengers campus now. Key lime pie is very important.
Ooh, in Disney?
Yeah, it says at Disney they have the key lime pie inspired by Loki. So they don't just throw that shit on the menu for like a 2-minute scene. There's something going. There's some stuff.
Something's going on with that key lime pie, and we're on to it.
"You didn't eat your pie."
Yeah. She has it like in her pocket or something because she's Miss Minute. Of course, she has pockets with pie in it.
Yeah, she's
puts
gonna
it down.
Force the pie into her mouth. She's like, "You have to eat the pie."
By the way, I know they did the little collab with McDonald's. They did the sweet and sour sauce, like had a new logo on it from Loki or whatever. They should have done a key lime pie like the apple pie. That would have been way better as a collab.
Oh yeah.
I am a big proponent of this, Bob, because I was like, how am I going to find key lime pie? I'm like, I wish McDonald's just released it.
That would have been great.
And
I don't.
The sweet and sour sauce, I was like, oh, is it going to be a variant where we're going to have another sweet and sour sauce? I think it was just the same one, which
I think they just put a new wrapper on it. Yeah.
Put a little extra sweet or a little more sour or one or the other. It would have been perfectly good.
Or if it was random each time, that would have been good. Like those Harry Potter jelly beans. Sometimes they're gross. God of Mischief. Sometimes the sweet and sour sauce is gross. I mean, maybe McDonald's doesn't want that where they're like, like a grandma shows up wants sweet and sour sauce and they're like, "Make sure you check out the God of Mischief this Thursday night on Disney Plus." Like, what? But yeah,
it's like, oh, I'm like puking because they just ate that.
They should have had the Loki sauce then, where it's like you could choose to dip your toe in that water. The Loki sauce.
They just
like a green sauce too. Put some green food coloring in it, make it look weird.
They had a sweet and spicy jam they just came out with. They just tried it last night. It was tremendous.
I know. Mambo sauce. I hate jam, so I saw that and I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to try that when we try every item on the menu.
So I'm with you, Bob. The word jam is fine if you're doing it like on like toast or something for breakfast. For a sauce, it doesn't feel right. It's just they didn't realize jam does not stick with Americans. That might be something the British are doing at their McDonald's. That don't fly. It's the same exact. It's just maybe a little thicker. It tastes exactly, I think, like the Rick and Morty sauce that came out a few years ago.
Okay, I tried that. I remember that was decent. Yeah.
The Mambo sauce, however, Gia, people are like, my mind's going to be blown by it. It was sold out by me, though. Have you had the Mambo sauce?
No, but I watched someone do a review of it on TikTok, and he said that it was extremely spicy.
Huh.
Oh, I like spicy. The Mambo sauce.
Yeah, Mambo number 5.
This is Mambo number 6. It must Mambo number sauce. That's the dad joke in me coming. Yeah. Did you guys hear that story that came out a few months ago that Stephen King played Mambo number 5 nonstop in his house and his wife almost divorced him because of it? And I'm like, out of all the sick and twisted shit that Stephen King has ever like thought of or done, making your wife listen to Mambo number 5, which is a banger.
Why do that?
Because he just loved it
over and over.
He just loved it, and he said he liked the dance version of it. He liked all the different variants of it too, and I kind of love that about him that he would do something like that.
Well,
so I might have said this before. My school once did a fundraiser in my high school where, like, until we hit a certain amount of fundraising, every time the bell went off for in between periods, Who Let the Dogs Out would play in full on the loudspeaker. It was so annoying. Like it was truly like it was a good idea to get kids to donate because kids were like, I want this to stop. Here's 20. Like it was crazy.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a good idea. Yeah.
I also have to just, because we mentioned the pie, our boy KFC, friend of the program, he said the pumpkin pies at McDonald's are out of this world. And I'm not a pumpkin guy usually.
I don't like pumpkin either.
I actually I had a very long-winded rant on the rundown this week with you about how apple should be the new flavor. Pumpkin, though, KFC said it is tremendous. And he like kept talking about it to the point I was like, I might just have to try it just because it's that good. So for anyone looking for their mambo sauce, get yourself the pumpkin pies as well, because KFC, a big snack guy snacking off co-host, signs off on him tenfold. 5 balls, I believe he gave him 5 balls.
Whoa, 5 balls. That's not to be taken lightly. All right, that was Loki season 2, episode 3. The episode is called 1893. Another banger from the Loki, Loki and Company squad. Can't wait for next week. We've only got 3 more left, so this is halfway mark through Loki. Kind of sucks that it's that, but also every episode is like 56 minutes, 51 minutes. I love that. The first thing I texted Clem last night was like 56 minutes. Take notes, Filoni. Every episode of Ahsoka was like 28, 32, 36. Give us these full episodes. It feels like a friggin' movie when you give us a 60-minute one. Gia, thank you for joining once again. We'll have you back next week. And Clem, thanks for being here as always.
Pleasure. I was going to say pending the Phillies, but we can make it work whenever, though. So we'll see.
We'll make it work. Because last week we also had crazy travel and shit. I'm not traveling as much next week. One thing I did note for the penultimate, I'm going to be in Cancun. So we're going to have to figure out something there.
The finale?
The one before the finale.
Oh, okay.
There has to be some good key lime pies in Cancun. You have to give me
if I find one, I'll try one. Yeah.